What's up guys, it's Kara here from Kara Corey Fit Life, and I'm back to bring you a different recipe today. I normally bake for you guys, you know I have a big sweet tooth, but today we're going to do a little something different, and I'm going to utilize the MTS Unflavored Carb 10. So I hope most of you guys have this in your arsenal of supplements. This is a great product to have on hand. Today I'm going to use it in the way of making a bodybuilder popcorn chicken. So this is going to be very basic ingredients that are healthy and are going to fuel you properly throughout the day. So with Carb 10, you guys have probably watched Mark's video on it. If you haven't, you can look back through Tiger Fitness and check that out. But with Carb 10, one of the great things about it is that it does not give you that huge insulin spike that can occur after you consume carbohydrates. Now, not all carbohydrates are created equal. However, they all do break down into glucose in our bloodstream, and what is required is insulin being secreted from our pancreas, which is a hormone, and the insulin helps transport the glucose to our body's cells. So depending on what types of carbohydrates you're eating, that insulin spike is going to be bigger or smaller based on what you're consuming. With Carb 10, the basis of this product is not just sugar, it's actually derived from legumes, or for this, it's mainly from peas. So this is a little bit different because it's not going to require that huge insulin spike that would be required if you were just consuming a basic sugary carb beverage. So this is going to help yield better results for you guys who are trying to gain some muscle, make sure you're eating properly and getting in enough fuel, but you want to still stay lean. So highly suggest this, and I wanted to do something a little more creative for you today utilizing this product. So there are flavored versions of Carb 10 as well if you just want to drink it, but the unflavored is fun to have on hand for recipes that I'm going to show you like today. So for our popcorn chicken, first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees. And I've got just a basic baking sheet here with some aluminum foil sprayed with some non-stick Pam spray. So while the oven's preheating, what I'm going to do is get my popcorn chicken ready, and I cut up a 4-ounce piece of chicken into little itty-bitty bits, little tiny pieces, totally up to you. You could do like a big-ass piece of chicken if you want, but this is more fun, gives me more volume. So I'm doing 4 ounces of these little pieces of chicken. Okay, what you're gonna need is 1 egg white, and I have that already in a bowl, and just using a fork, make sure you get that all whipped up before you use it. Very simple, just whip it up with your fork. And then for the Carb 10, I am using, I don't know if you can see it on camera, it's white, 1 full scoop. And 1 full scoop of Carb 10 nutritionally yields 100 calories, 25 grams of carbohydrates, no protein, no fat. So very great to have on hand. I know a lot of guys ask me all the time, Kara, I need to get my carbs up. How do I do so without going over on protein and fat macros? Boom, there you go. Very simple. So to the Carb 10, what you're gonna wanna add to it are any spices or flavorings to kind of make it taste more tasty. So for seasonings, I've got here some Mrs. Dash tomato basil garlic. I'm gonna also throw in some Fiesta citrus. This is also a salt-free seasoning, but I am gonna add a little salt to it in the form of this pink salt, the Himalayan pink salt, which is really delicious. So you guys can kind of play around with any seasonings that you like. You can't go overboard on the seasonings. Trust me, this is what's going to create the breading to our popcorn chicken. So you definitely want to just like, you know, sky's the limit on the seasoning. And really any flavor combination, I've never really had any issues with using different like Mrs. Dashes and stuff like that. So get that in there. Perfect. So that's going to be my combo for seasoning here. And that's just gonna kind of whip that up in there. And this is what's gonna form the breading of our popcorn chicken. So next what I'm gonna do is very simple. Actually, I'm gonna pull my pan over here. So I've got it right here. I'm gonna just take my little bit of chicken. You wanna dip it into your egg yolk, your egg white, excuse me. And then mix it around in here. You want to make sure you get enough egg white on it to completely bread the whole piece of chicken. And get that on your pan, and then I'm just gonna go through and do that with each and every piece of chicken. All right guys, so I've got all my little pieces of chicken for the popcorn chicken breaded and ready to go in the oven. You can see I didn't use the whole mixture of my seasoning and Carb 10, so I used about half of it, but if you're being meticulous right now about counting macros, and I also used probably about half an egg white, if you want to be real specific, you could just weigh it by grams before and after and kind of figure it out that way. I'm just kind of estimating I used about half of each. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven at 400 degrees for a total of 16 minutes. However, what I want you to do is pull it out at 8 minutes in and flip over your little chicken bits. So I'm going to go in the oven. We'll show you when it's all done. All right guys, 16 minutes has passed. Remember to flip them in between, and our little crispy chicken, popcorn chicken, comes out smelling delicious. It smells like Popeyes up in here. So you get a nice little pieces of breaded chicken. If you guys want, you could add some type of like dipping sauce to it or whatever you want, or you could just eat them plain. And it's a clean, easy recipe and a good way to use up your Carb 10. So if you guys don't already have this product, you guys can use my link in the description box and purchase it, tigerfitness.com, discount code Kara for 5% off. So hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please give it a thumbs up and keep checking back for more.